The voice of sharing. 旅人ASEAN.
ASEAN Breakfast Call. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia. Hey, this is Arlene.
Good morning, this is Grace.
And of course, we are going to start our news today with more from Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And to start it off, let's talk about Malaysia.
Okay.
I don't know people are aware or not, but we have one of the largest population of billionaires.
Wow, that's really surprising.
It's really surprising because Malaysia is forecasted to have more billionaires than UAE in 2018. That's crazy, isn't it?
2018 seems far, but then it's next year just coming in a month, and just after 3 years, and we're gonna come over UAE.
That's crazy. That's really crazy because Malaysia, according to a new white paper from London-based Wealth Insight Intelligence Center, that which is responsible to track the wealth and liquidity events. And what they detail is what major private banks, wealth manager, and family offices in each market. What they see is Kuala Lumpur is the city with the highest level of high net worth individuals at 13,800 in 2013, more than Abu Dhabi, which only accounts to 12,500 individuals, ahead from Cape Town and Birmingham as well. And this is something new.
I watched Russell Peters' stand-up comedy video yesterday, and according to him, saying that all those people from the Middle East area, the rich definition is way different from how Asian or Western receive the conception of rich. So their definition of rich is totally different from how we can imagine. But then, according to the news, you said the Malaysians, the billionaire, will actually for past the UAE people. That's really surprising.
It's really surprising because apparently Malaysia has over 26,000 high net worth individuals with a combined wealth of 151 billion US dollar, or in Malaysian ringgit would be 527 billion. It's really ironic because when it comes to inequality, Malaysia is also ranked one of the top in Southeast Asia. But Malaysia's billionaires is keeping on growing and becoming more wealthier year by year. Today, we will be talking about issue related to wage disparity, and apparently Malaysians are not getting wages incomparable with the productivity that incompatible with their productivity. So when it comes to having the rich becoming richer, Malaysia is one of the reality that we cannot close one eye, I guess.
And then talking about the rich, I was really upset to read this news about the South Korean airline, that this lady who is the daughter of the boss of a Korean airline, of course, to a person who can actually hold the whole part of airline is considered very rich. And this daughter, she was not really happy with the services that Korean Air provided, and she just rented herself in front of
peanuts,
people.
right?
Yeah, because of peanuts. And then everyone is very, very angry at what she did, and everybody is criticizing that it was not ethical. And then me being a Korean here also, I was like, how can you do that? And then ironically, her surname is also Cho, and I was like, oh no, why is she's building up the reputation of my surname?
Yeah. That is so funny. But talking about Koreans, so Koreans and Brunei are agreeing to boost relationship. Nowadays I see a lot of Korean presence in Southeast Asia, and I'm not just talking about K-pop. Obviously, their presence is quite significant here, but I'm also talking about the business and investment presence seems like they want to form closer relationship with countries within Southeast Asia. They are definitely aware of the AEC, and they are part of RCEP as well. So yeah, a lot of things to gain.
It's a sign. It's a sign that the country is opening more platform for to be able to build a relationship, like what you said, Arlene. And also Korea and Brunei, they did agree to expand the Korean company's participation in project for infrastructure construction in the Southeast Asia country. And when it comes to infrastructure industry in South Korea, it's well developed, and then they are very organized. So if this can influence the Southeast Asia, definitely it is something that we can look forward to hearing from.
Okay, this is what the kind of agreement or bilateral partnership that had been signed on by Koreans and the Bruneians, which accounts to 3 billion construction of a 30-kilometer bridge linking Brunei's central area Muara to the remote district of Temburong. Besides, the two leaders also observed the signing of a double taxation avoidance pact, an agreement that could help reduce the local tax burden on Korean companies in Brunei and expand bilateral investment.
Definitely, according to President Park Geun-hye, she mentioned that.
What did you say again?
Park Geun-hye, that's
So
her
cute.
name. And then, according to her, she said, for the last 30 years, that's actually long period, that both countries have built a relationship to strengthen the cooperative ties, and she's very happy to see this active cooperation in the construction of
And one of the key
infrastructure.
cooperation, besides the bridge that I mentioned just now earlier, and also the taxation avoidance, is agriculture, as you all know. When it comes to Koreans, they produce their own food, their own agriculture. I remember being in South Korea and looking at so many area of the land being used for agricultural purposes, and they have been very innovative in the way they plant the paddy and plant the vegetables and all that. So it's something that would benefit Brunei, considering Brunei is a small country. It should probably produce more in terms of producing crops for its own crops for food for its own people.
Yeah, and then there's just a little fact on this news is Brunei's Sultan, who is Hassan al-Bolkiah. He's apparently one of the wealthiest men, and he's also attended
I'm not surprised.
the Royal Military Academy, because Brunei is considered one of the poorest nation in ASEAN, but then he is one of the world's wealthiest men. It's something to do with to help out the nation.
So it seems like Brunei is definitely expanding economically, although it has been criticized widely by the way it ruled its country by imposing Sharia law this year, especially on its citizens. So it's a catch-22 here. Are they going forward, or are they going backward when it comes to civilization, if I may put the word on it? Talking about pushing forward for a better community. So EU and ASEAN are collaborating on science. And this is something really good for Southeast Asia, because when it comes to scientific advancement and research, we are actually quite lacking. We're not just in terms of the knowledge and talent and know-how, but it's also in terms of the infrastructure and all that. So the European community is betting for increased scientific cooperation and cross-border exchanges of researchers with Southeast Asia, which has emerged as one of the fastest growing regions.
And then also, all this link started around 6 years ago in the U.S. before expanding to other countries such as Brazil, China, India, and Japan. But then the relationship also linkage with Association of Southeast Asian, a nation which is ASEAN, began with Singapore in 2012 and Thailand in 2013 and Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam just recently.
I want to share you one news that I just saw today. Did you know that Indonesia is scrapping off religious and moral education?
Why is that so?
Because just like EU and ASEAN partnership for science collaboration, Indonesia is looking at increasing its education capacity for science. They have been quite lacking in terms of in terms of science and technology advancement, and they want to emphasize more on science education. So to them it's like, why we need to learn religious and moral education when we can improve more in the area that we are lacking. And maybe it's good that, you know, religious and moral education should not be converted into a subject. It should be something of a value system, isn't it?
Well, it is a value system, but at the same time, well, that will have a lot of cons and pros, because even in developed country, there is a subject called moral studies anyways, to be able to...
Do you have moral studies?
We do have a moral studies in Korea as well.
Has it been effective?
Well,
at molding
it's
you?
all theories. It's all the theories and the wisdom and all those practices that were done in the past and also history that we learned from. So those are the things that we can learn from, and how we actually apply all those moral theories so-called into our reality.
I would rather have philosophy class. It's more cool, you know.
Well, that could also be related to philosophy, but then definitely in our nation we don't have a religion studies for sure.
So your studies, yours is more like a moral and civic studies, I suppose. No religion.
No religion, because we find, you know, no point of studying religion where we have other institutions to attend to, like church. We don't have temples. So why practice all those religions in school?
That's something interesting. So no wonder.
No wonder. Okay.
Koreans are not that religious compared to Southeast Asians. We do emphasize heavily on religious studies and moral studies as well. Talking about religion and morality, I mean, if we have so much education on religion and morality, people should be in a much better situation when it comes to how do we conduct themselves. But it's not true, you know. What it seems to be like persecution, what it seems to be like the kind of law that is being imposed to citizen is more like a fear tactic. For example, this is what is being said by the U.S. ambassador to Malaysia, Joseph Yun. He said that the government should not use Sedition Act. So
that's what the ambassador said to Malaysia.
Yeah, he said he's the ambassador for the U.S. To Malaysia, Joseph Yun. He said that if you want to use Sedition Act, it must be for a real reason that it is going to threat the national security and all that, but it shouldn't be used for political reason. And to me, all this religious and moral education is of no use if the focus, when it comes to reality in our adult life, we are being treated like kids in a way that you cannot freely express what you think or who you want to be or not. You will be imposed under an act where it limits you as you are, as a citizen of this country.
Well, Sedition Act, I wouldn't say it's completely wrong, but then at the same time, when it expands to the certain areas and that covers and also restricts the freedom of expression, that's when we have to become vocal about it. And of course, the U.S. Ambassador he has experienced, and then he has seen what has happened in Malaysia because of Sedition Act, and then that's when he came up with this opinion that he had an interview.
He has to have, and he did an exclusive interview with Malaysia Kini. This is the key expression that I think is really important, which is, we are done with Operasi Lalang and all these oppressive regime acts or laws in the past. I think society today have matured in a way that it understands, its responsibility as a citizen. So using political prosecution through acts like Sedition Act, it will only make the government look like
and definitely it's not the way
it lacks
to
morality in effect.
That's true, and also it's not a way of practicing democracy in the nation. If you impose and then keep forcing and apply this Sedition Act to people, where is the democracy? Where is the freedom of expression?
That's true. Where's the freedom of expression? And freedom of expression is also a big problem in Pakistan. So apparently persecution of Pakistan's religious minority has been intensifying. And when it comes to Pakistan, it is a very complex country because it has a lot of religious minorities, and it faced similar persecution, perhaps worse than Malaysia, but it has become worse years by years. It seems like religion is at the center of a lot of the wars and conflict in today's society, if you look at it in the bigger picture.
Yep. And here in Pakistan, violence and the discrimination against this religious, because like you said, Pakistan has a lot of religions in the nation itself. So those religions have intensified to a level where people live in their daily lives in the fear of violence and also harassment. And also, it was also said the government's failure to protect these communities was encouraging perpetrators to act this impurity.
So what does that mean?
So there's no government influence in terms of all this violence, discrimination that's happening in Pakistan, and that's when all these perpetrators, they just act upon what they think it is right.
So I mean, I'm a bit, when it comes to countries like Pakistan and countries where religion play a central role in society, and it also, because of that, it plays a central role in terms of how conflict starts. But in reality, if you really dig down, dig deeper into the issue itself, it's more than just religion. It's about land issue. It's about social economy. It's about how it's about the weakness in government institution. Is about the corrupt of society's morality in a way where society have to resort to religion to solve the issue of or the conflict between the different community groups or between different human society, and this is not good.
Well, this is definitely not a good news, and the reality that what's happening, it doesn't give any positive images of the nation. And these violent attacks against these religious minorities occur against the backdrop of legal and also social discrimination in almost every aspect of their lives. Imagine they have to live every day with all this happening around their lives. It's such a fearsome.
Especially if you are not part of the mainstream Sunni Muslim. I give example. For example, last month, a Pakistani court upheld the death penalty against a Christian woman, Asia Bibi, who was accused of blasphemy in a case that drew global headlines after two prominent politicians who tried to help her were assassinated. That's hard, right? You have good intention. You want to save a person who is the victim of the law itself, but you are being killed. It's really it's really a situation where the whole institution or the whole morality of the society has been so corrupted that you don't see where justice can come in anytime soon.
In fact, and then a lot of hundreds of Hindus, they actually fled Pakistan during the past year as a result of religious persecution. And also the doctors, lawyers, and human rights activists have been murdered for supporting the cause of minority rights.
I definitely would not be able to see any time soon in terms of Pakistan getting better at treating its religious minority. From religion, we talk about business, and we are going to talk about business in Indonesia. Do you think Indonesia is a good place to do business?
Well, from my experience, not that I have a business in Indonesia, but from my friends, Indonesia is expanding for sure.
Because if you do a bit of research on investment in Indonesia, and very quickly you will actually come across two words. Number one is inefficiency, and number two is corruption.
Yep.
Probably Malaysia share the same two words also. Although it's being labeled as a new hope. I mean, when it comes to Indonesia and the new Indonesian president Joko Widodo. But to reform Indonesia's system to be more efficient, number one. Number two is less corrupted. It's a huge task ahead. Of course, we earlier on we discussed that they want to drop the religious and moral education, so that people can focus more on science education, which is great. Which is funny because so like by dropping moral education, that means you can reduce corruption. Is there a correlation there?
Well, Arlene, you can actually relate those two together.
I don't know whether there's any correlation, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting point to look at. So in the spotlight on the recent APEC summit, which of course Joko Widodo was one of the key figure that gave speech, and he was actually quite good with his English, although he has a very thick Javanese accent. He was conveying the vision for Indonesia to the people of his country. He's known as being capable of introducing efficient, effective systems. Most recent is in his post as governor of Jakarta. He have definitely an uphill battle making Indonesia more attractive to foreign investors. But you know what I see is people already like Jokowi so much, and not just people of Indonesia, but perhaps the whole of Southeast Asia. I don't see any leader that can fit into that Obama aura in Southeast Asia than Jokowi.
Well, you're right. And then Joko Widodo, he has given a very positive image to the public, and he's also image of proactive, moving forward, stepping forward, and I think better for the nation.
I just hope that he won't turn out like Obama in a way where people have so much of a hope to him that, and he has so much of a promise to give, like a list of that he couldn't fulfill it at the end of his 2 terms.
Yeah, that could be the worry, the concern that people might have. But then so far, Joko Widodo is very well known for his being capable of introducing efficient, effective system. And almost recently, in his post as the governor of Jakarta, of course, he has, like you said, he has given a lot of promises. And then that sounds very promising.
Do you know that Indonesia is a member of G20?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how cool they are, Malaysia. Remember? Although they are a member of G20, nevertheless, they are not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily translate that they have a robust economy, because as a start, investor, when thinking about setting up operation in Indonesia, they have to go through an average of 10 processes. Oh my God, that's a lot. Which take about more than 2 months. Or around 2 months, 50. If they actually measure this very accurately, 52.5 days.
All right.
For you to be able to just enter Indonesia and be able to start up your business. But well, compared to Malaysia, it's only 3 process system. Wow, Malaysia, good for you.
Definitely, Indonesia starting a business, and it's not easy, especially when it comes to the foreign companies in Indonesia, and also in the in-depth bank industry in Indonesia. It's very restricted towards the foreign banks to come into the nation. So definitely, it takes a longer procedure and longer time to be able to establish a company in Indonesia.
I think when it comes to Indonesia, they definitely have rubbed very good shoulders with a lot of great countries. Joko Widodo has a very, very good image outside and inside of Indonesia, and Indonesia is definitely one of the key driver for AEC. But for them to move ahead, one step ahead of any of the Southeast Asian countries, it's not just about getting investment or calling for investment and liberalizing the trade in Indonesia, but it's also about simplifying the processes, and this can be done by making it more efficient. And of course, the most important thing that not just Indonesia but probably all Southeast Asian countries are facing is corruption. This is something that is a no-go. We can learn from countries that has successfully reduced corruption, and one of it is Singapore. They have been quite effective in doing this.
Do you know which are the other countries that they also want to emerging the economic growth?
I don't know.
India.
Oh my God! Gauri's not here to hear this good news.
This Indian government also has proposed a series of steps to improve the nation, to ease all those problems they are having, and that they are also very well known for corruption and inefficiencies.
Well, yeah. A lot of the emerging countries are definitely improving the way they do business, the way they want to, the kind of vision they want for their society. So all the best with India, Indonesia, and hopefully Malaysia.
For sure, yes.
So that's all for our news today. We will continue our discussion later on.
Yes, and then please download our TuneIn app and find us at Durian ASEAN.
Yes, and later on we will talk about Portuguese dance and music.
Oh la la.
Okay. See you.